So let's read this white paper, shall we? I don't know if there's anyone in my chat that plays Magic the Gathering. I don't. I know it's owned by Wizards of the Coast, which I think is owned by Hasbro now. I'm a D&D person, so I play D&D. I don't play Magic the Gathering, but they're owned by the same company. Magic the Gathering is a, if you don't know, a trading card game. Think Pokemon, but for adults. Not that you can't enjoy Pokemon as an adult, but I just mean the themes and art and everything involved with Magic the Gathering is more mature than, like, Pokemon. Hydrate. I used to have friends in high school who were into Magic. Hey, guys, I'm not trying to be a dick. I respect everyone who plays fucking Magic. It's cool. Like I said, I play D&D. There's nothing wrong with it. So Magic the Gathering is a trading card battle game, and it's very popular. It's been popular for a very long time. And this DAO, which, for those who don't know, a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. It's basically a company without calling something a company. It's associated with NFTs and crypto and stuff like that. They started a DAO called Magic the Gathering DAO, which for those in the biz might know as trademark infringement. So this is their white paper. White paper being the paper where they basically spell out their plans for the DAO. This is very funny. We're going to read this and their stupid plans, and then we're going to read the legal notice, the cease and desist that was sent to them by Wizards of the Coast. GimpVat says, "Hey Hannah, I met a guy in China and he's super cute. Is it okay with you that I look at importing him? Is it okay with you that I look at importing him to the US? I mean, that's all true, but it gave me a reason to give you 45 bits, so there, it is what it is." Why are you asking me if it's okay for you to bring someone to the US? Do what you want. What? Honest Noir says, thanks for the bits though. Honest Noir says, "One of the cringiest things about NFT culture is the extremely circle-jerky jargon." I know. Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro are almost as bad as Disney. Yeah, don't mess with them. Not good. Gave you a reason to give me bits? Hey, I'll take any reason, okay? Anyway. Introduction. Magic the Gathering and crypto are a match made in heaven. I imagine anyone who's a fan of Magic the Gathering just vomited in their mouth a little bit. Princess Amelia says, "Okay, here's how we plan to not get cease and desist." Never mind. Magic is arguably the greatest card game ever created. Rich with variety and creativity, but with an unpredictable economy making investment difficult. Crypto builds economies allowing strangers to interact in a trustless ecosystem, using protocols that follow transparent, predetermined processes. Magic the Gathering DAO is an attempt to marry these two worlds. The associated token for Magic the Gathering DAO will be MTG, which again, just trademark infringement. At the token generation event, 50% will be airdropped equally to all community members, and 50% will be held in the Magic the Gathering DAO community-controlled treasury. Magic the Gathering will be a governance token used to control the spending of treasury funds and will also govern the scarcity formula for the NFTs used to play the MTG DAO format. So that's a lot of jargon. Let me explain basically what's happening here. DAOs, like I said, are basically organizations, decentralized autonomous organizations, and they used NFT tokens to determine governance. So in a publicly traded company, for instance, the stock you own, proportionally to how much stock is offered in general, is a voting share. So if I own stock in Disney, let's say I'm very rich and I owned 1% of the stock in the Walt Disney Corporation, which is only 1%, but it's a lot. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you owned 1% of the Disney Corporation, you're very wealthy. Your voting shares, because you own 1% of the shares in the company, means your vote, your voting share of the company, is 1%. Your vote counts for 1% of the total votes that can be cast. Now let's say in a hypothetical you were incredibly rich and you owned 51% of the Walt Disney Corporation. You would then automatically win anytime anything comes up for a vote because you own the majority share of the company. Your vote counts for 51% because you are the majority stakeholder, okay? So anyway, in DAOs like this that use tokens for control, the more tokens you own, the more control you have over the organization, the more ownership you have over the organization. So these MTG coins are stakes, are shares basically in the DAO, if that makes sense. Stone Corbell says, in Magic, the non-fungible token is like the card. Like, you can't magically reproduce a physical card. It's already a non-transferable. Gimpvet says, if that relationship falls through, I can come live at your house as a full-time cosplay cat. I have a little over 3K a month allowance for life. LMAO. Why do I do this to you? I mean, why? It seems like you're jockeying for Daddy Sume's place, but more explicitly. KBS says, fun thing, Wizards of the Coast licensed D&D 3.5 but held back certain creatures as essential to the D&D identity. So Pathfinder is essentially D&D but has no beholders, Githyanki, Githzerai, or Mind Flayers because those are the monsters that make D&D unique. That's interesting. Okay, so anyway, their mission. Magic is an incredible game. If you're interested in the Magic the Gathering DAO, you have probably poured many enjoyable hours into the game. While many Magic fans discuss, complain, endlessly about the choice that Wizards of the Coast make, they have clearly succeeded at creating a game that people enjoy playing. Most complaints are not about the game itself, but instead are about managing the Magic card economy and related issues like power creep. Wizards has built a great game that invites you to invest in its economy, but it's hard to justify investing significant money into individual cards when the value of a card could change at any time. The reality is that individual cards are unpredictable investments at best and may lose value. It's amazing to me that someone looked at a trading card economy that is always going to be in flux, right? There are cards that are going to, with adjustments and new cards being added to the set, are always going to fluctuate, right? Because you're constantly trying to balance a game like this, because you don't want it to get too easy if someone owns one card, like that Black Lotus card that was a thing way back in the day and is now worth a bunch of money and banned everywhere because it completely breaks the game. You don't want to do that. You want balance, right? But that's inherently a part of the game, as I have this card today, it's useful now, will it be in the next release of cards that might change the dynamics of the game? I don't know, but right now it's good. That's kind of part of the game. It's fine. Their idea to stabilize the market for this is to turn them into NFTs? Because when I think stability, I think NFTs, right? Card value loss happens for a few reasons that Wizards, operating as a for-profit company with their card pack business model, is unable to control. Card value is of course determined by supply and demand. Supply, scarcity, is determined by how many copies of a card will be printed. When a card is introduced, the number that will exist is determined by the rarity of the card and how many packs will be sold. If the card is in demand, resellers are motivated to buy packs in bulk, sell more copies. The value of the most popular card in a set would be maintained by the cost of how many packs you would need to buy to produce it, minus the total value of all other non-chaff cards that could be sold. Even this guarantee of scarcity is hard to trust because the card could be included in future releases, in pre-built sets, or in secret layer drops. Wizard has attempted to address these concerns by saying that certain cards are on reserve lists and will never be reprinted. However, even if you can trust them to keep this promise, there is nothing stopping them from changing demand for this card by releasing a similar or more powerful card that makes the first card irrelevant. Yeah, it's their game. They're allowed to do that. That's just like the risk you play when you get into a game. It's a game. It's a game. If you're doing Magic the Gathering primarily to make money, are you even playing the game, or are you a speculative leech that only exists to leech onto an existing community that enjoys playing a game, and you're ruining it for everyone? Just curious. Gimpvet said, had no intention for a jockey position with Daddy Sume, however, I'd love it to play out like this. Nope, definitely can't play that. Nope. Nope. I see Disney, I click off. I see Disney, I click off. It's that simple. Tucker White says, me, a stupid dumbass.
I don't know what any of that means.
No, it's you're right to not understand. It's all stupid. You forgot? Oh, it's fine. I get it. Demand is determined by popularity and can be just as difficult for market participants to trust in its stability. Players, of course, want winning decks, so a card at the top of the meta will be the most expensive. At the top of the meta, to my understanding, basically means a card that is really good in terms of its strategic value within the game. I gotta drink some water. Players are also willing to invest in cards that will hold value, so they look for cards that they think will be relevant for a long time. Non-basic lands will probably be needed throughout the course of many metas, so they typically hold a high value. Flexible cards that will always be useful despite shifting metas also hold value, such as Thoughtseize. Even for these cards, future demand is hard to judge because the meta is always shifting and players are only interested in the top cards. The combination and lack of scarcity and changing demands leads to a boring meta where 99% of all games being played at any given time are using the same few hundred cards. There's no strong scarcity for top cards, so any player who wants to have fun playing some game knows that they must play with the same cards as everyone else. If you don't pay to keep up with the meta, you'll have a hard time finding equally equipped opponents. This leads to bad feelings because you must weigh the fun of playing the game with the cost of keeping up with the meta, knowing that your investment is likely to be stale when a new meta rolls around. Oh boy, did you just learn the marketing reason for trading card games? Holy shit. Pokemon's been out for decades. What are you doing? Bittergrin says, this is why the only cards I ever bought as singles were ones I needed to build a specific deck or ones I thought were pretty. That's how to do it. Just have fun. These negative aspects are not exactly the fault of Wizards of the Coast. They're a for-profit company that has built a business model on selling packs. In crypto terms, they operate in the world of fiat. Just like central banks, they exist in profit by building an ecosystem that builds demand, managing a perception of scarcity, and then printing and selling into the demand curve. Wow, they also just described the entire crypto and NFT market. Except instead of fiat, it's crypto, which they are then going to sell and turn into fiat currency. They exist for profit in a market that builds demand, managing a perception of scarcity, then printing and selling into the demand curve. You just described NFTs! Oh my god. Okay. I don't mean to be too negative here. Wizards has created value for me personally and thousands of other players who get to spend time playing a game we love. But I think crypto and the world of DAO can take this game to the next effing level. We can build a protocol, legally, layered over the top of the existing game. Narrator. It wasn't legal. That can spawn a Cambrian explosion of creativity in the meta. I want to bring the concept of sound money to the Magic economy so players can trust the scarcity of their investments. I believe that this protocol can build an ecosystem with enough transparency where the sky's the limit on what some people will want to invest. I think we can build and retain a massive amount of value in the community we create. In the short term, we can have a ton of fun exploring a new format that allows a depth that has never been possible before. In the long run, I think there's a chance we can just buy... I forgot about this part. I'm going to read this real slow so everyone can hear it, okay? Yenzo, let me know what you want me to put on for that hats off. I think there's a chance we can just buy the Magic brand from Wizards of the Coast. Magic the Gathering DAO could be the next evolution of what this game and this community is and how it is operated and controlled. They believe they're gonna buy Wizards of the Coast from Hasbro. Do I have a bowler hat? Somewhere. My D&D hat. I think it's downstairs. Baja, is there any chance you could get my bowler hat from downstairs? My, I don't know if you're still listening. If you are, could you get my... Okay, thank you. Hats off. Getting the bowler hat. Bittergrin says, with 100 bits. Yeah, no, they're not gonna buy Wizards of the Coast. Also, can I just say this? Like I said, I'm a D&D person. I've not played Magic the Gathering. I'm sure it's fun. But the way this guy describes it makes it sound like a spreadsheet simulator. And I hate it. He makes it sound like no fun at all. GimpVet says, play this muted for the F of it. It's not copyrighted, just loud. Why? No! What are you doing? Don't send me things of Kermit the Frog fucking a hamburger. What are you doing? Anyway, the Magic the Gathering DAO format. Magic the Gathering DAO format will be centered around crypto NFT card economy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Those flowers are pretty, by the way.
Look at... I'm making this one.
I know, it looks
by
nice.
hand.
Woo, messed up hair.
I am... You can't see at all. I am making flowers. Practicing to make flowers for this lovely lady and I's wedding.
GimpVet says I'm doing that later tonight. Jesus Christ. Okay.
Hello, children.
Profane Priestess says, ha, Wizards of the Coast just cracked $1 billion profit and is 72% of Hasbro's profit margin. Source, Hasbro's last investor meeting is reported by the Nerd Immersion YouTube channel. What a joke. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Magic the Gathering DAO format will be centered around a crypto NFT card economy governed by the Magic the Gathering DAO. NFTs retain card scarcity in their format economy, limiting how many players can use the same card across the format. This will create a new format that feeds somewhere between constructed and limited. Players will lock Magic the Gathering to mint card NFTs according to scarcity formulas as determined by the community governance of the Magic the Gathering DAO. Note about Magic the Gathering DAO NFTs. In order to be allowed to play a card game in the Magic the Gathering DAO format, players will need to show proof of ownership of an NFT for each card in their deck. So basically they're having people they're having people mint Magic the Gathering cards as NFTs that these people do not have the copyright or trademark to. That's what we call in the biz illegal. Profane... Oh, I read that one. Let's see. In order to play the game, players will need to own both the NFT for their card and also the actual card used to play. Which, again, why do I need the NFT then? If I already have the card, why do I need the NFT? We're not creating NFTs licensed by Wizards of the Coast. Oh, there's a problem. Only adding an additional layer of scarcity to be able to play. Wizard cards in a new format. Players will need the actual card in order to legally play the game, whether that be a paper card, a card on Arena, or a card on Magic the Gathering. I don't know what the O stands for. The NFTs aren't meant to establish ownership of the card. It will only be used to allow that card to be played in the Magic the Gathering DAO format. We are not building gaming software or printing copies of official cards. Games will still be played using Arena, MTGO, or Tabletop with real cards. NFTs can be thought of as tickets to enter tournaments or a way to represent temporary ownership of a cube draft, not as ownership of the copyrighted card. Maybe someday we can raise enough money to pay licensing fees to Wizards so these NFTs would work directly with their software. Like Arena or possibly MTG DAO, could become an officially sanctioned tournament type. In the meantime, this is not needed, and we can have a lot of fun exploring this format on our own and organizing our own matches and rankings. What is the point? What is the point? Why? Online? I was under the impression, like, if you wanted to play Magic the Gathering online, are there not already things for that? Like, D&D has online stuff. And Wizards of the Coast owns D&D. Do they not have similar stuff for Magic the Gathering? There's an official app. So, like... What? Oh, okay. Makes sense. Magic the Gathering Arena. Yeah, it's an official online game. So what is this for? They're just committing infringement on copyright and trademark to create their own online platform for Magic the Gathering playing when they don't own the rights to do that? That's so stupid. Stone Corbell says there are actually two online clients, Magic Online and Magic Arena. Magic Online is way older and pretty janky. After the token generation event, all Magic the Gathering that will ever exist will be either held by the community-controlled Magic the Gathering DAO treasury or in circulation. Held by community members, no more MTG can ever be created. MTG is used to control the scarcity of cards in the MTG DAO format and is locked when a player wants to mint an NFT for a card they want to play with. Cards are minted by locking in MTG. The locked MTG stays in the smart contract associated with that card and can be released if and only if the owner sends the NFT back to the contract to be burned. This would release the original amount of MTG locked back to the NFT holder. In this way, an investment of MTG locked into an NFT can always be recovered for the same amount of MTG. The value of the MTG token may, and certainly will, change, but the investment of MTG into the NFT can always be recovered if desired. This allows players to determine the amount they are willing to invest in their player economy, and then play without that amount of MTG without feeling like their investment is constantly being devalued. When MTG is locked to create an NFT, a fee, for example, 5% could be collected and sent to the DAO treasury, but the majority of MTG locked would be able to recovered at any time. This fee amount could be one of the protocol parameters determined by the community through the DAO. But again, so the idea that they're having is your card is worth a certain amount of this MTG coin, right? Your card is worth this much MTG coin. And in order to mint it onto our system, you need to lock that MTG coin into that card and it will be officially minted onto the blockchain, right? So the blockchain then says, you own this Magic the Gathering card in this ecosystem. And then the idea... That's loud. That's the alarm going off. Did you guys hear that? You okay? Hello? I should probably check that. I'll be back in a sec. We're good. Okay, what was I saying? Alright, so the idea is that you would then be able to transfer the value of this card that is in their ecosystem back into MTG by burning the token if they feel that they would like to instead take that MTG and put it into a new card that they have developed, which doesn't make sense in terms of preserving anything for yourself, because you still have to own the new card? You know what I mean? You still have to, in the real-world economy, go out and buy the new card. It only has any value in this person's ecosystem. So this person's pitch to you is essentially, hey, you know what? Wouldn't it be great if you gave us money for absolutely no reason that adds no value to your gameplay whatsoever? What if you just registered all your cards on our system for no reason, and then every time you wanted to, like, unmint that card and remint a new one, you gave us 5% for doing nothing? It's really stupid. The exact formula for how much MTG must be locked in to mint an NFT would be determined by the MTG DAO community. This would likely become one of the primary governance activities of the DAO. This scarcity formula would be subject and most likely highly debated by members of the community. Voters would need to balance higher scarcity with cheaper card availability. More scarcity would encourage more players to play with less popular cards, creating a rich and diverse meta. If cards became too scarce, creating a new playable deck would become too expensive. This subjective balance would need to be governed by the community. The primary motivation for maintaining scarcity would be to keep a diverse meta without too many players using the same cards. One sec. Here's a simple proposal for the scarcity formula for us to begin with. The first NFT for any given card would cost 1 MTG. If another player wants to mint an NFT of the same card, they would need to lock double the amount of MTG as the previous card. So the second NFT would cost 2 MTG, the third 4, the fifth 8, and so on. Oh, you know what's great? It's great when things double and double and double and double. That doesn't create a problem immediately. Audis Noir says, Magic the Gathering, manipulating the gullible. As the community grows, a modification factor would be needed to adjust the lower base cost of this formula. Any NFTs minted before the formula is adjusted could still be burned at any time for the exact amount of MTG locked when minting, so players shouldn't be overly concerned about MTG cost of minting new cards to be lowered. So again, by the time you get to the 18th card, the first card only takes 1 MTG to mint, right? The 18th card costs 131,000 MTG to mint. Do you see the issue here? Do you see the issue with doubling every time? Why am I blanking on the word? Someone give me the word. Blank growth. Exponential. Thanks. My brain's broken, apparently. You cannot have an economy like this built on exponential growth of the necessary coin in order to mint your cards into the ecosystem. It would be unplayable. Nick says it's like the worst game of 2048 ever. So, this is stupid. Let's look at their frequently asked questions, and then we'll look at their cease and desist from Wizards of the Coast. Frequently asked questions. That's a pretty hefty scarcity mechanism. Why so steep? That would be one. Well, it wouldn't be my first question, but it is a question. Players will need to get used to the idea that the vast majority of players will never play with or against those popular cards that we often see when playing existing formats. The idea is the primary strength of this format. Scarcity for additional copies will incentivize players to dig deep into less popular cards to find new synergies and create a vibrant meta. Net decking is basically a thing of the past. Format staples are a thing of the past. Everyone will be motivated to find new creative combos and archetypes that the buyers will have slept on. So basically, they're nerfing popular cards and breaking the game. The entire point of the exponential growth of the cost to mint these cards is to nerf popular cards and break the game. Although players who get in early or spend a lot in order to mint those cards are going to win automatically because they will have the more powerful cards. That's stupid. Nandy Owl says literally making it pay to win, which is funny because trading card games are already kind of pay to win, but this is just doubling down on it and making it worse. What's the fun here? I can't wait to play this game. Yeah, I bet you're making money off it. I think it will be really fun to be able to... What was that? One sec, I'm going to mute this. It's alright, they were Home Alone-style burglars, but Baja fought them off with her science abilities. Science is karate now. Yeah. It's true. Tucker White says, me, still a stupid dumbass.
even say it! This is so exciting. I will be, I think, Sprig Ivy? What are you even saying?
Anyway, back to the thing. I really can't wait to play this game. I think it'll be really fun to be able to ape into a tasty card without worrying that it won't be able to cash out of your investment for the same as you put into it. The scarcity will mean that there are many players with a wider variety of cards who are more equally matched to create your deck. It'll be fun to see how far up the ladder you can take a deck with limited funds. It'll be fun to explore synergies that have never been tried before and possibly be the first to show how powerful a new deck idea can be. Just create a new card game. If you hate how Magic the Gathering works so much, just create a new card game. Tucker White says, oh, I read that one. Gitara says, okay, so they wanted people to buy a digital NFT for every card in their deck while also owning the physical card, and basically players would also have to pay these people to print mint every individual card they want to use in their deck for them. This has got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, and I've heard Peter talk. True. So only rich players can win? Question mark? Answer: yes, but no. The top of the ladder will theoretically be populated with the same deck as winning outside the MTG DAO format. Those cards will be popular and will require a lot of MTG locked to mint them. The real fun in this format will be outside of the top 10 or 50, where new decks are being tried by players with more limited funds. Each player is going to have their own idea of how much they want to invest, and they'll have fun creatively pushing out how they can get on the ladder, in matches against other players with similar restrictions. Again, doesn't that just exist already within the current marketplace for Magic the Gathering cards? Sure, people in competitive competitions are all playing the same decks because they have the money and capital to invest in the high-tier cards to get the ideal decks that they want to play with whatever strategy they're working with. But just your casual person who's playing Magic the Gathering, they're already probably just playing with people who are casually playing Magic the Gathering, right? Not everyone's going to have the high-tier decks. That's already how the economy works. So, yeah, that's, that. Let's take a look at the cease and desist they were sent. Surprise! Companies don't like it when you steal their shit. Oh, where was it? So they have a Twitter account, and this is what their Twitter account says. Wizards of the Coast sent us a very polite email saying they consider our use of NFTs as described in the MTG DAO white paper to be unlawful IP infringement. They hint at their own NFT plans and ask that we don't launch MTG DAO. Here's why Wizards of the Coast is NGMI. NGMI is crypto talk for not gonna make it. It's basically a thought-stopping phrase similar to what is employed in cults to make you go, they just don't get it. It's not about that they have legitimate concerns that you are breaking the law and using their trademarks for your own business to make money. But no, they're just not going to make it. They don't get it. They don't get crypto. So let's read the email real quick. Wizards of the Coast LLC's Magic the Gathering says, Dear Madam or Sir, we are counsel for Wizards of the Coast LLC, the owner, as you obviously know, of the copyrights and trademarks of Magic the Gathering. And then there's the little registered trademark symbol. Perfect. Trading card game. We write because Wizards recently became aware of your white paper describing a potential, quote, MTG DAO project that would combine cryptocurrency and NFT technology to create a new, scarce Magic format for playing a game of Magic the Gathering. Your enthusiasm for Magic the Gathering is evident and appreciated. The team at Wizards is also impressed by the work you have put into the developing of a new format for playing Magic the Gathering. Unfortunately, your intended use of Wizards' intellectual property, including its trademarks and copyrights, would be unlawful. You appear to be operating under the mistaken assumption that the project would be legal because you would allow the reproduction of Magic cards in the form of NFTs only by a player who had purchased a physical card, a card on Arena, or a card on Magic the Gathering online. This is not correct. It's the exclusive right of the copyright owner to reproduce the copyrighted work, such as Magic cards, in any format. While there is an exception in the copyright statute for making a backup or archival copy in some circumstances, this privilege extends only to computer programs and not other types of works. See, for example, the U.S. Copyright Office's facts on copyright and digital files here. There's a hyperlink. While Wizards is currently evaluating its future plans regarding NFTs and the Magic the Gathering cards, no decision has been made at this time. Use of NFTs in connection with Wizards' intellectual property is therefore strictly prohibited. As a fan of Magic the Gathering, we trust you understand Wizards' need to protect its intellectual property. Although Wizards is continuously amazed at its community's creativity and engagement, they have to protect their IP if they want to keep the lights on. On behalf of Wizards, we therefore ask that you refrain from implementing your idea for a Magic the Gathering DAO community that relies on unlawful reproduction and use of our IPs. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions or wish to discuss this further. Honestly, a very nice response. Of course, they're trying to be, you know, they're trying to be as diplomatic as they can about it. In fact, the lawyers probably laughed about it because of how stupid this is on the face of it. I cannot imagine how he thought this would be a good idea. Now, let me give you an example. There are, for instance, third-party applications that allow you to play another Wizards of the Coast game, D&D. Now, one of these is Roll20, which I have an account on. Roll20 is a tabletop game site. Now, you know what's important about Roll20 and why I'm describing it as a tabletop gaming site? Because they do not market themselves as a Dungeons and Dragons online site, because Dungeons and Dragons is the trademark of Wizards of the Coast. They cannot say, hey, we're Roll20. We're here for all your D&D needs, nor can they say, we're here for you to come and play Pathfinder or whatever game you can play on here, right? Because they're not allowed to use that trademark. But they can say tabletop because they're all tabletop games. That's fair. Nor can they, for instance, say, oh, you own the monster manual for D&D? Here, just scan the barcode and we, Roll20, will give you a digital copy of the monster manual on the website. They can't do that because that would be reproducing the monster manual in a digital form, which only Wizards of the Coast has the right to do. Them and their publishing partners. I don't know who they partner with for publishing, but they have deals worked out with that. Do you see what I'm saying? That's effectively what this DAO is trying to do, is say, well, you already own it, so we're going to let you reproduce it. It's very stupid. So anyway, this is the response the Magic the Gathering DAO person had to the cease and desist. It's delusional. Our vision for the Magic the Gathering DAO is so similar to a local game store. Here we would host tournaments, fund writers, and sponsor players. A DAO is the primary community building tool of Web3. To forbid a Magic DAO is to forbid any authentic presence in Web3. Not gonna make it. Magic the Gathering DAO NFTs are protocol tools used to track card scarcity across Magic the Gathering DAO tournaments. Web3 tools like tokens, wallets, DAOs, and NFTs are the building blocks of a safer, more secure, more interactive internet. Here's the problem. You are literally calling yourself MTG DAO. Magic the Gathering is a trademark of Wizards of the Coast. You don't own that. And you are explicitly advertising your product as being for Magic the Gathering cards. You can't do that. Now, for instance, if you wanted to build a web tool that just said, hey, here's a trading card tool. It lets you keep track of all your trading cards online. You could do that, and you could even, like, make it blank so people could fill in information for their cards or whatever. But you can't just reproduce the cards yourself as part of your product. That's illegal. Banning any usage of community-created NFTs related to Magic is like banning any other group of technologists outright. No, it's not. It unfairly discriminates against Web3 tech and Web3 communities. NFT pros are being discriminated against because we want to break the law and you won't let us. Bittergrin says a game store is a reseller of cards for Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast gets their cut. Do they? Usually, secondhand markets, they don't give a cut to the original people. Anyway, as Web3 becomes more popular, this attitude will not age well. Oh, good, they're trying to wag their finger at the person they're stealing copyright and trademark from. Wizards of the Coast are digging their heels into the old world. Internet culture moves quickly, and Wizards of the Coast is solidifying their position as dinosaurs on the brink of extinction. Catching up will only become harder. Not gonna make it. Again, see how he's just repeating not gonna make it? Like it's a fucking cult. Bittergrin says a game store is a resale. Oh, I read that one, sorry. Nick says classic Darvo. I don't get it. This attitude makes the success of their own NFT project tenuous. There is clear pushback from most of the gaming community against NFTs. It's no wonder gamers are wary and disgusted. They're disgusted because NFTs are dog shit. What? Darvo, deny accusations, reverse victim and offender. Oh, okay. They see NFTs being sold for millions and it doesn't make any sense. Empty status symbols representing nothing more than how much money you can afford to waste. Gamers! I'm gonna hope gamers is capital just because it's the first word in the tweet and not because they are capitalizing gamers regularly. Gamers have only experienced game economies intentionally designed to extract maximum value from players. Unlike you, who's taking a very reasonable 5% for a service that does nothing. Oh, we should get a gamers emote. That'd be good. Convoluted and opaque so players can experience a suspension of disbelief around how their value is extracted. Excuse me. The standard formula is to create a fantasy world where players feel immersed and can believe that in-game assets have qualities like scarcity and value. But over time, through mechanisms like nerfing, power creep, and printing in-game currencies, every player will see their invested value be devalued for profit. Again, most people play games because they're fun. I don't buy minis for D&D because I think they're gonna go up in value. I would buy them because I think they're cool to play with. I don't buy books for D&D, which I have downstairs, that are like supplements for D&D because I think they're going to go up in value. I buy them because the value I get out of them is that I purchase them with money, I get a good, and then can use them to have fun with my friends. Why do these people think everything is an investment you need to make money on? It's a goddamn mental illness. It's weird. Whether consciously or subconsciously, gamers have learned to avoid and detest anything resembling economies in their games. Loot boxes, microtransactions, in-game currencies, and now NFTs are added to the list. Oh boy, it's almost like because that kind of stuff has completely destroyed the fun of certain games by getting it and turning it into a cash-extracting Skinner box instead of a product you just outright pay for and have fun with. What is not popularly understood yet is that crypto can give players the ability to choose games with transparent, fully known, and pre-programmed economies. They can know the rules ahead of time about how and where value can flow and be cashed out. I'm pretty sure they have to do the same thing for trading card packs. Like, they have to say, here are the chances that you get this card or this card or this card. I think you can usually find that information on their website. Like, I think they have to do that. I don't know that for sure, though. Developers become participants in the economy instead of pulling strings behind curtains to gain trust and then exploit it. All this doesn't mean Wizards of the Coast can't make profit in this new paradigm. I think creating an economy that respects user value would be wildly profitable for Wizards of the Coast. It just requires them to think beyond their current business models and become participants in the decentralized ecosystem. There are plenty of transparent ways for Wizards of the Coast to profit from a project like Magic the Gathering DAO. They could negotiate a percentage of the initial token distribution or simply charge users to have their software interact with user wallets and NFTs. He doesn't get it, does he? You are breaking the law. They don't have to work with you. They will sue you into the dirt. They will take everything you have, and they won't care. They won't feel bad. Is your DAO even do you have an LLC associated with this? At least if you have an LLC associated with this, you would have some amount of legal protection. But if you think a DAO is going to protect them from taking your personal assets and the stupid lawsuit that'll result from this, you are a fool. Anti-Pretzel says, hot take, Wizards of the Coast takes forever to make new classes, races, subclasses. You get the gist along with adventures and bestiaries because they're at least trying to create some form of proper balance, and this requires time and man-hours spent in extensive testing. Homebrewing can take less, but that's thanks to communities, but also does require understanding that that's all allowed under the SRD, and balance can be difficult, hence constant need to playtest. Part 1 of 3. Second part. And yet, there are these morons who think you need to invest upwards into the system when this is not how these games work. At the end of the day, even you understand, Hannah, a one-time purchase is better than any scam like this shit. Agreed. It's really, really stupid. I don't understand why these people view this stuff. Like, I just didn't, and I know it's different. D&D is fundamentally a different thing than, like, Magic the Gathering. One is a collective trading card game, or a collecting trading card game, and one is a tabletop game that really doesn't require a bunch of purchases outside of your, you know, starter book, maybe some minis if you want, dice, whatever. But they do come out with, like, new adventures, new, setting guides and all that kind of stuff. I don't usually buy that. I like homebrew just personally, but that doesn't mean I don't, you know, read, look at, buy the books that they put out to get ideas. And certainly the stuff that they do with balance is really important. It's fundamental. Even if you don't use, like, rules as written Wizards of the Coast material, it is fundamental to setting precedent for what the rules and balance should look like in a D&D game, right? So if you're wondering, is this homebrew class or subclass that I've come up with or that I'm looking at on DM's Guild or any other website where you can get this kind of stuff, is it unbalanced? Well, let's compare it to the rules as written and see kind of how it pans out. How is this working compared to rules as written, you know? And I'm sorry if you don't play D&D. This is not gonna, I don't know if this makes any sense. But the point I'm trying to make is they are creating value for the economy of their gaming system, whether it's a card game or it's this thing. And the idea that you have to get anything out of it other than enjoyment of the game is crazy. It's crazy to me. It's insanity. It's like people who, like, I don't know, and maybe this is, like, just me, but like I've said many times, and I know I talk about it a lot, but I think it goes to show the difference between someone who's a collector and someone who's a speculator. I collect Blu-rays and DVDs, okay? I own like 600 something at this point, and I'm continuing to get them. They're great, and I love them. At no point have I ever considered upon a purchase of a Blu-ray or DVD or 4K or whatever, will this go up in value, and will I make a profit off of this? Because that is not why I am buying it, nor collecting it. I buy them because I enjoy them. They are a good that I buy with money that I earn through labor, so I can enjoy it in my life. I'm not speculating on it. I am buying it because I want it. Because it is a thing I want. And it's like these NFT people are fundamentally divorced from the concept of buying a good because you like it and just want it. They're only in the headspace of how can I speculate on this? How can I create a futures market? How can I cut this up into 50 trillion pieces and sell it to people individually so we can all speculate on those dissected pieces of this larger thing? It's insanity. It's like a personality disorder. It's an addiction. It's insane. Do I want to speculate on a copy of Death of Superman? Okay, I speculate that the stuff from Steel and Superboy will be really rad afterward. That's my speculation. And also the mullet he has when he comes back is boss, and he should bring the mullet back. Anyway. As fans of Magic, we want Wizards of the Coast to win, but we're learning to expect more from our games. If Wizards of the Coast can't adapt, players will move fast to other crypto TCGs, and sadly, Wizards of the Coast will not gonna make it. You didn't even format that. properly so it's grammatically correct. NGMI is just such a meme in the crypto cult that he has to put it just as is. Tucker White says, let me explain what Hannah just said.
Money!
Yeah, basically. To members of Magic the Gathering DAO, I don't know exactly where we go from here. Wizard's position seems reactionary, but I don't currently know enough about copyright law to be confident about how a court would interpret this situation. Let me tell you how that would go. Guilty? Pay them. Pay them all everything you have. Give it to them. Give them your shirt. In court. You are done. I plan on responding to their email, getting clarification, and trying to help them see something like Magic the Gathering DAO and Web3 in general as an opportunity and not a threat. My primary motivation continues to be combining my two passions, Web3 and Magic, in ways a community is excited to engage with. This isn't the end for Magic the Gathering DAO. I think the Web3 community has a lot to bring to the game if Wizards can be open-minded enough about us. Wish us luck. Oh yeah, and WAGMI, which stands for We're All Gonna Make It, which is another, like, platitude that Web3 NFT cultists say. Absolutely ridiculous. Oh, he tweeted later, too. This is another tweet. I don't know shit about... Sorry, this one gets to me. I can't. I don't know shit about copyright law, so I'm trying not to discuss it much, but I'll tell you that Magic the Gathering DAO NFTs being IP infringement is not intuitive to me. Making a copy of a Magic card and selling it as an NFT would be copyright infringement. Magic the Gathering DAO NFTs are just a protocol tool to track who's allowed to use a card in our Magic tournaments. It's like the difference between making a copy of a book versus giving someone an invite to bring a book to a book club. I never would have thought you would need to get permission from the author before doing the latter, but I'm certainly not an expert. Mutes thread. You called your organization Magic the Gathering DAO. Do you understand? What do you not understand? Non India Owl says the judge's reaction if this is brought before the court.
You serious?
It's true. It's very true. I don't know why he thinks this is okay. His last post appears to be 2 days ago. Okay, here we go. No, he's responded a little bit 18 hours ago. Someone says, seeing a ton of bad takes on the topic of hashtag Hasbro selling off Wizards of the Coast, somehow being good for players, could easily be worse by a lot, and I'm dying to know which buyer you trust with taking over Wizards of the Coast and why. Is Hasbro selling it? Hadn't heard. Magic the Gathering DAO says, it should be owned by the Magic community and prioritized to making the best games and not just extracting the most profit from them. I mean, I'm cool with, like, socialist shit, but, like, you're into NFTs, so what are you doing? I don't understand NFT people. I don't get why they think that just because they do stuff on a blockchain that all of a sudden copyright and trademark law doesn't exist. It does. It does exist. And you need to follow it. or you're going to be sued. It's as simple as that. And yeah, sometimes litigation takes a while to catch up to new technology, but it catches up. It always catches up. You're effed. You're just screwed. Why? Why do you do this to yourselves? Stop breaking the law, asshole. Hasbro is splitting Wizards of the Coast into its own division and not selling it. Oh, okay. MMO Addicted says something I may like. What is it? Anyway, that's the Wizards of the Coast thing. Just crazy. Just crazy what these people think they can get away with.